Before we get into the video, let me just quickly explain how this video came about. So recently, I started working at a startup called Replit, and through them, I was introduced to Jacob from Clarity Coders. And he proposed that he makes a tutorial video right here on CS Dojo. And when I asked my Twitter followers if it's something they want to see, they basically said yes. And that's why I decided to post it right here. So let's just get started.
One thing that I find very useful about Python scripts is having some type of a script that can send you an alert or you can ping for information back. Now, I've done this in videos with an SMS alert and different things like that, but it either costs something or there's workarounds that are kind of country-based that doesn't work for all the viewers. So what we're going to do today is set up a Telegram bot that does something similar in just a couple lines of Python. So if you don't have a Telegram account, you want to go ahead and sign up for one, and you'll come to a kind of starting screen like this. It's free, so go ahead and grab it. Now we need to get an API key to work with Telegram, so we're going to search for BotFather. BotFather is Telegram's official bot for handing out API keys. So even though we're going to create our own custom bot, we're going to get an API key from BotFather. You can see it'll show up here. Go ahead and click on that. It says some things that this bot can do. We're going to go ahead and hit start. And you can see here the different things that we can ask for here. And there is I think it's new bot. We'll just try it. So you're going to do /new bot. And then it says, what do you want to call it? So you can pick whatever name you want. This doesn't have to be unique. So ours is going to be tutorial bot. Now this next one does have to be unique. So it's going to say if the bot already exists and it has to end with bot. So we can do ours something like clarity tutorial _ bot. And you got to remember it because we got to find it later. So you can see that worked. It was unique. If it wasn't unique, it's going to say that bot already exists. Try and create another one and you can just pick a different bot name here. So you can see now we have this HTTP API access token. Now you're going to have to get your own, so don't copy mine here. And we are going to use that. So you're going to go ahead and select that entire line here all the way over. And then we can go ahead and minimize this. Now for our program here, I'm going to do it in Replit for a couple of reasons. One, you can duplicate my code fully and run it in the exact same environment that I did. You can also run this locally or however you want. Replit offers some paid packages to run this bot 24/7 and different things like that. There's also some workarounds to run it 24/7 for free. So that's the route we're going to go here. So you can set this up locally and follow the exact same steps. I'm just going to do it in Replit. There'll be a link in the description if you want to copy my code. So we're going to go ahead and do create a new Replit. It's in Python, obviously. We're going to do Telegram bot. And then we can go ahead and we're going to add in one package that's going to help us work with that API. So what we're going to do here is we're going to find our package. So I clicked on this button. There's a couple options here for different APIs that you can use. The one I chose to use that worked really nicely with Replit or whatever environment you're going to work with is Telegram bot API. And you can see it's in version 3.77. So in the future, if this doesn't quite work, you want to make sure you get the same version as me, kind of hug that version. But also make sure when you're searching for this package that you're not getting one of these others that aren't the right thing we're talking about. This is like 0.0.4. So make sure you have the right bot. Now, if you're in a different environment, if you're in just your traditional local environment, you can just do your pip install like you normally would. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that plus button and it's going to install my package for me. And we can go ahead and go back in our main project. Now, if you're working with the free version of Replit, all these are going to be public, the code that you're writing. So you don't want to put your API key directly in the program itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another file up here, and we're going to call this .env. Now, what that's going to do, it's going to give us a private place to store that API key that isn't shared. So I'm going to say API _ key. I'm going to do all capitals just because it's a constant. And then I'm going to paste in that API key, and then I can save this. Now to get that API key into our program, we can actually import OS, and then we can set our API key equal to os.getEnv, and then just the key name. So remember, we called it API _ key. Cool. Now we have our API key in our program as well. We're also going to import telebot here. Perfect. That's it. So now we can go ahead and set up the basics of our bot. I'm going to set the most simplistic bot you can in a couple different things. So I'm going to use Yahoo Stocks to kind of pull in data just to showcase something. You can use this for whatever data you're trying to pull in. So I'm going to show you how to send a message to the bot and it sends something back to you, sends information back to you. So how the bots work, and we're going to start with just a reply. So we're going to send it something and it's going to reply the same thing back to us. So we're going to do @bot.message_handler. So this is the kind of setup that handles the different commands that come into the bot. We're going to look out for a command, and the command that I want to look out for is greet. So when we send a command of greet, we want the bot to do something back. And then you define your function of what you want to do right underneath that. You can call this function whatever you want. I'm going to mimic that from above and just call it greet. I'm going to pass in our message. So this is when it has a message that has a command of greet, which I'll show you in a minute. It's going to run this function and it's going to pass in the message as well. Now we can just do bot.replyTo. We're going to reply to that message with, hey, how's it going? So this is going to be our basic setup for the first couple lines of our bot here. And also, we don't want to forget to create our bot as well. So we're going to say bot equals telebot dot telebot. Watch your capitalization here. And then we're going to pass in our API key. Now we got to set this bot to keep looking out for messages as well. So we're going to say bot.pulling. So this is going to keep checking for messages. You could look up in the documentation. I'm not sure how often it checks. It seems pretty instant, so I'm sure it's every couple seconds or whatever. But that's fine for us. So now that we have everything here, we can go ahead and run this script. You can see it doesn't do anything, right? Because it's just pulling for information, but we haven't sent anything to our bot yet. So the one thing that we need to do is start a conversation with our bot. So ours was clarity tutorial _bot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for that. And you're going to search for whatever you named yours. And you can see that here's our bot. We're going to click on that. We're going to start a conversation. Now commands start with the slash symbol. So you remember in our program, now we don't have to do them all as commands, but we set up the first kind of test as a /greet. So we're going to try that. So we're going to go /greet. And of course, coding's really fun. So your commands really matter here. This is commands with an S. We'll change that. Let's stop this. We'll restart our bot. And pretend I didn't send like 8 messages trying to figure that out. And you can see that if we use the correct capitalization, we get the response that we are looking for here. You can see it says, hey, how's it going? Which is what we typed as our response. So we have a working bot set up here. And this is how you're going to use commands to kind of get text into your bot itself. Now you probably noticed that it used a reply line. So it copied my message from above into the actual message it sent. That's because we use the reply to. One that you'll see that's very common is also to, we'll copy this. Let's call this hello. We'll say hello here. If you say hello, we'll call this function hello. And instead of reply to, let's do send message. So what we can do is do send _message instead. Now this, it has to know what chat it's in. So we need the chat ID. Now luckily we can get that off the message itself. So we can do message.chat.id. Now if we stop this and run it, now we should have a command that we can run with hello, no capitals here. And you can see now it doesn't have the it's not replying to a certain message, it's just prompting to actually send that message. Cool. So let's do something kind of useful now. I wanted to use a library that I don't have to set up an API key or anything like that, just for ease of use. So if you want to ping for different information, follow along exactly with me here. See how I do it from Yahoo, and then branch out and do whatever you want, and make sure to share it so we can all see how you did it, that sort of thing. So I'm going to grab the Yahoo API here. So I'm going to pull in Yahoo Finance. And then I'm going to walk you through a function that I created to grab the Wall Street bet stock. So if you've been following Reddit and all the craziness with GameStop and different stocks like that, I want to create a function that whenever I ping it, it sends me the last 3 days worth of stock prices for their favorite stocks like AMC, GameStop, and Nokia. So here's the function that I use to create this, and we'll take a look at it here. So what I did was I added another command function. So we're going to have to use the slash and WSB. I'm going to show you how you can do something without a command next, but we're going to do one more command here. So this is slash WSB, standing for Wall Street Bets. And what it does, it runs this get stock function. We're going to pull in a response. That's just where I saved all my data back when I get responses. And then you can choose whatever stocks you want to put in here. I put the 3 Wall Street Bet stocks that I see that are most popular with them. Then for each stock, I'm pulling in data off of Yahoo. So this is where I call the Yahoo Finance API. So I'm saying download the ticker, and the ticker that I'm choosing is one of these 3. It's rotating through those. Each time it's getting a period of 2 days, and it's giving you the 1-day price. So that's the data I'm getting back. That data is a pandas data frame that you can kind of check out and look at, but essentially it's just going to have this data in it. I'll show you a pop-up here to kind of show you what the data frame looks like. We're going to reset that index. So what that does, instead of the date being the index, it's going to reset the index to be 0 on the side, and then we can pull the date out of that information. So then my response is going to be the stock. This is an F string, so we're putting in the stock name, and then we're going to append that to our stock data frame. And then for each row, so for each row of information for that stock, we're going to pull out the close price and round it to 2 decimal points. And we're going to format the date in month/day. So that's what we're doing on this line. And then we're going to add that to our response, append the stock price, then just print out a blank line after each stock. So now after we have all of our stocks information, I do something a little special here. I'm adding in some spacing just to make it look right on the output on Telegram itself. It gets all kind of jumbled up. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding the column headers, and I'm making sure that each of them have 10 spaces so they're kind of lined up. And then I'm doing another 10 spaces for the next column, another 10 spaces for the next column. So we got the stock name, the first date, and then the most recent date. And then I'm just simply sending that in a message in a response. So that's it. That's how we created that function. Now we can go ahead and stop this. If we run it again, then let's open up our emulator here, and we'll do slash WSB. Oops, we installed some other libraries, so we gotta wait until it actually starts running here. I got a little impatient. Drink some coffee. It's not tea. I'm not Centdex. Then you'll see that it still did run our function after we finally got the data. It's printing out to console. I just had that for some debugging and things like that. But if you open up our tutorial bot, you can see that when we send it slash WSB, it sends us back a response with the data we requested. So you can see here, these are like the column headers. It has stock 0331 and 0401, which is the last 2 days the US market was open, and then the stock prices for those stocks. The formatting is a little weird because Telegram's a little finicky about how things are structured, so you can play with that a little bit and make it better. I'm going to show you one more, and that is how to not use a command. So we don't want to use slash anymore. Say you want to do something custom, like you want to say some type of code. So you want to say like a price, space, and then a stock name or something, and then you want to get data back. So here's the setup we're going to use for this next part. It's a little different. So we're going to use message handler again, but we're going to use the function keyword, and then we're going to create a custom function. Now that custom function, when it returns true, then whatever's inside of here where I said pass, that will run. So your function is going to either return true or false based on the message. And then if it's true, it'll run whatever you want to create. That might be a little confusing, but we'll go ahead and walk through it here. My function, so this is to return true or false. So this is to decide if this send price actually runs or not. So our function that we want to control that is called stock request. So what I wanted a stock request to look like, I'll pull one up on the screen, is to have price, space, and then a stock name. So what we do here is we test to see if it's possible that this is a stock request. So what I do right away is I do request. I take the message and the text from the message and I split it. And when you split with the default parameters, it splits it based on spaces. So what it's going to do here is it's going to split it up into as many spaces as it has. So if I say price, space, GME, space, hello world, it doesn't matter. It's going to break it into those first two chunks. So what I'm saying is the length of those chunks, I have to have at least two, right? Because if I have price, space, and then the stock name, that's going to be 2. So I'm going to make sure it's at least of length 2, at least has one space in it. Then I'm going to take the request, that first space, I'm going to lowercase it. So in case you do price with a capital P, it'll still work. And I'm going to say if it's not in price. So if it's not at least of a length 2, or if the first word isn't price, we're going to return false because we don't want to run it. Anything else is going to return true. So if it does have price as the first word, and it does have at least 2 items in the message itself, then we're going to run send price. So now we can fill out this function below here. I'll copy pasta a little more and then walk you through it. So remember, we're doing something here that could cause an error if we weren't validating before. This is only going to run if we have a 0 index, which is price, and a 1 index of something. So I can go ahead and safely try to grab out the 1 index because I know this wouldn't run if we didn't have a 1 index because we tested for it up here. So my request is going to be the 1 index. I know the price is at the 0 index. Now what's at the 1 index? We don't know. We hope it's a stock ticker. So if it isn't a stock ticker, Yahoo's just going to return no data, and we can send that back that we didn't recognize the stock symbol or whatever. So what we're going to do here, you can see instead of putting in a ticker, I use whatever the user sent in request, and I'm going to get 1 minute data chunks, and I'm going to get 5 minutes worth of that data. So essentially, we're going to get the last 1 minute stock price of whatever ticker they want to put in. So this could be useful like during the actual trading day, stuff like that. So here's my check. When I get that data back, I'm making sure the size is greater than 0. If the size is less than 0, we're just going to send back that we didn't get any data. If the size is greater than 0, then we know we got some stock information back, and we're going to go ahead and format that. I'm going to do something very similar to what I did before, so I won't break it down too much, but I'm essentially making a formatted date. This time I do it a little differently because it's minute data instead of daily data. So I'm going to pass back a month, a day, the 12-hour time frame, and the minutes, and then AM or PM. Then I'm going to set the index, blah, 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 and then eventually I'll send the message. So let's go ahead and try this out. So we can stop here. We can run it again. Now remember, we picked the format. We could pick this to be whatever we want. So we are going to start this command with price, do space, and then whatever we want to look up. So let's try a new one. Let's get a popular one. So we'll go price, Tesla. And you can see now we get now you could have a nice title here or something that would have looked nicer now that I'm looking at it, so we know we're looking at Tesla here. But you can see we got the last 5 minutes worth of data. Now the market's closed, so we saw the actual last 5 minutes of the day. If it was a live market, you would see the last 5 minutes now, but we got those prices here. So let's try another one. We'll say price, some garbage, and you can see that we got no data back because it wasn't a real stock symbol. Let's try one more. So we're going to say price, GME, and then this is my favorite stock. So what's going to happen here is it's going to break up this and it's going to still pass our validation, right? The first index, well, nope. Now it will. The first index is price, and then the second is going to be a stock ticker, and it's going to ignore everything else in the statement. So it is still going to give us back the data, I hope. And you can see that we did get our data back. Now, if you like this video, if you want us to do a couple more things with Telegram, we got a few more ideas here. Let us know in the comments what you want to see, and we'll put it in the next video. The one thing that you want to note here is if you're on a free account of Replit, this is going to fall asleep after a certain period of time. If you're on a paid version of the account, you can get a trial that you can go down to always on and turn this on, and that will leave your bot running 24/7. Now, there are some workarounds for this as well that I will show in the next Telegram video, along with anything else you would like me to show in the comments below. Give this a shot. Let me know what you think. And until next time, keep coding.